Let's turn to Hebrews chapter 4 and a wonderful verse that leads us into what communion is all about. Here we go. Hebrews chapter 4, verse 16. The cross of Christ is the offer of God's mercy. Let us then approach God's throne of grace with confidence so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need. So according to Hebrews chapter 4, we're confident of God's mercy because of what Christ has done. Christ, the high priest. As we consider the at-one-ment, the atonement, we arrive at this climax that the power of Christ as priest, as high priest, is conveyed by this faculty of sympathizing. According to this text, the power of that faculty as twofold: the power of mercy and the power of having grace to help. Mercy and grace. Therefore, because he can be touched, because he feels what we go through, let us approach with confidence, expecting mercy and grace. So we expect mercy from one who has learned to sympathize. He learned sympathy, the writer says, by being tempted. But it's by being tempted, yet without sin, that he's able to show mercy. So he understands the nature of temptation, but he doesn't understand the uncleanness of yielding to that temptation. And that qualifies him to show mercy. I've got this theory that there are two kinds of people who can't show mercy, who are unfit. The one who has never been tried, and the one who, having been tempted, having been tested, has failed the test. And it's often the case that the young and the untested are the most severest critics. I used to work in the prison service, and the guards used to fall into two categories. One would emphasize retributive punishment. You do the crime, you do the time, and that's it. It's a transaction. It's chum, chum. That's it. That's it. The other is restorative punishment, that you're in prison so that you never come to prison again. So it's either retribution or restoration. But either way, we human beings, we people like us, get it wrong. We get it wrong. We're either too soft, we say, oh, well, everyone makes mistakes, or we're too hard. No, you did it wrong. You must die. And this is evident in the Bible itself. You think of a young and zealous Saul, unworried by doubt, persecuting the early church. Think of Saul the king, the opposite, too weak. He's supposed to punish Agag, and he lets him off the hook. And Samuel says, you must do what God says. One is too soft, one is too harsh. And David, remember, David hears his own crime related to him as if it's somebody else, and he says, the man that did this shall surely die. You see, the point is that none of these were qualified for showing mercy properly. There's only one category that makes you able to judge: to be totally aware of the sting and power of temptation, but to be free of yielding to it. That qualification, without sin, is really strange, really interesting. It's the one we think of least. You might have thought that if you'd made mistakes yourself, you'd be a better judge of other people, but it's not so. It's not so. And the truth comes into really sharp relief in one incident in the life of Jesus. They drag this woman out, exposed, guilty, humiliated, in the act of adultery. They stand around like a pack of sanctimonious hellhounds, ready to be let loose on their prey, ready to kill her just to catch him out. It's all a test. They're interested in Jesus, not her. And he stays ice calm, doodling in the dust. He that is without sin among you, let him cast the first stone. And here's the point. Here's a lesson about eternal truth. Sinners cannot judge sin. Justice becomes revenge. Mercy looks like feebleness. the only one who can judge sin. And the only one fit for showing mercy is the one who, like Jesus, felt it all, felt all the power of temptation and came unscathed through the trial, in all points tempted, yet without sin. Therefore, to him, you can go to Jesus boldly, expecting mercy, because he understands everything that you're going through. And yet he's free of that stuff himself. He's like he's in the lifeboat, so he's able to offer you a hand. He's not drowning himself. I love the Lord, for he heard my voice. He heard my cry for mercy. Because he turned his ear to me, I will call on him as long as I live. So just wanted to read this prayer, a very familiar prayer. I kind of grew up saying this prayer at the Anglican Communion when I was a little choir boy all those years ago. We do not presume to come to this thy table, O merciful Lord, trusting in our own righteousness, but in thy manifold and great mercies. We are not worthy so much as to gather up the crumbs under thy table, but thou art the same Lord, whose property it is always to have mercy. Grant us, therefore, gracious Lord, so to eat the flesh of thy dear Son, Jesus Christ, and to drink his blood, that we may evermore dwell in him, and he in us. Come boldly today to receive mercy and grace to help in time of need. God bless you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you today and give you peace. Amen. God bless.